Welcome to the Beacon by Soul 33, teachings for your past, present and future. Good morning, everybody. It is the 30th of December. I'm here in Auckland, New Zealand. Happy New Year. We are making a transition into 2025. There's new energy, new beginnings. We've spent our time resetting and recharging in whatever way we could manage over this Christmas period. And so we've got lots to discuss today. Now, if you're listening to this on the Beacon app, on Spotify, on YouTube, don't forget to do all you can to support, like, tag, subscribe, share. It really helps me to be able to create more resources for you. And thank you for all the comments. I do read them. I try and get back to you when I can, and also for the messages in the group chat. Now, I have got a lot to talk about. So if you're getting your journals out, don't forget to do that, to make notes about what you hear, what stands out for you based on what the soul progression lesson is for the week. And these are guided messages, but they are practical also, because my job is to help ourselves progress our souls. And so you use the Monday mantras by looking out for them and observing as you go through your life during the week. Or if you're experiencing the opposite, which really can happen with the Monday mantras depending on where we are on our spiritual journey, apply the Monday mantra to your life to remember what it is that you are meant to be looking at and considering in the decisions that you're making as you go throughout the week. Now, we're going to do a bit of a recap like we do every week, and these recaps are important because we are looking at what has happened so that we can understand what is to come. And last week, our Monday mantra was, I rediscover myself and others through a spiritual and physical reset. I rediscover myself and others through a spiritual and physical reset. You know, that week of Christmas, and, you know, we were planting the seeds for the new year. And when Christmas came, and around that time, inevitably there's Christ consciousness energy available to all of us, because it is a sacred time. It's a sacred time for whether you believe in Christ or Christmas or whatever. Energetically, I could feel it. And we're experiencing all of these shifts and upgrades and light codes and this elevation of energy for us to become more of who we are. And we were discussing over the last few weeks the lost parts of ourselves and what needs nourishment in our life. Like, I could see it throughout my week that because I slowed right down, it was a bit hard in the first part of the week to slow down. But then I was like, actually, I work every day. This is Christmas time. I can slow down. And I started nourishing more of what I really wanted. And that was the energy of the week before. So it's all still applying to our lives. So that's why if you go back and listen to the Monday mantras, it's one chapter leading to the next. And I know some of you have been asking me about dragonflies and all of that. Go back and listen, because it's an evolution of the story as we go along, which is way too much to articulate because we're all learning as we go along together. The sensitivity that we're feeling in our bodies is really still very apparent. You know how when we slow down, if we have the opportunity to do that at the moment, we can start feeling things more? Like over the weekend, and I'm telling you this because, you know, nature is speaking to us all the time. There was a lot of wind here in New Zealand, in Auckland, and it was so windy I couldn't even open the doors because it was toppling over all my pots and plants and things like that. And I also started to develop allergies because the wind was bringing up all the debris that was then breathed into my nasal passages, and agitation and aggravation. And that's what I talked about last week. There's agitation and aggravation coming up, which can happen throughout the end of the year and the beginning of the new year, because we are needing to reset. And because December has been all about closing cycles before we start the new year, I don't feel agitated or aggravated in my brain, but my body is asking me to address something because the winds of change came and stirred things up, made me look at what am I breathing in, looking at my breath of life, looking at the air that we breathe. So that's really important. Stop to breathe at this time of the year. Even if you're someone that is working or busy, stop to breathe, and whatever that means to you. The sensitivity is also coming from solar flares, it's coming from planetary alignment. It's asking us to look at our relationships, because obviously this time of year, a lot of people are getting together with family, friends, building the connection. And that connection I experienced also last week, because I did something a little bit different from what I would normally do on Christmas, or what I've normally done for the last few years. And I was with extended family, and it was really interesting. It was really lovely to be connected with people. But I could also feel, because when I walked into the house that I had Christmas at, there was a dragonfly right at the door, a dragonfly on a teapot. And I was like, I'm meant to be here. The spiritual realm is still talking to me. The light beings are imparting codes, even through the symbols that are, you don't need to be seeing a real dragonfly. It's the consistency and the acknowledgement of what we are seeing, knowing that it is connecting us also to who we have been in lifetimes before. Like, I feel like many of us will be dreaming, receiving reoccurring dreams, reoccurring themes in dreams. And this is the connection that's being made from other dimensions, strengthening us here to align with our earth purpose. Now, these dreams may be agitating dreams, because I often have dreams that are agitating because our subconscious is healing ourselves while we sleep. But it's also remembering what we're needing to clear, remembering the cycles that we need to close. And this allows us, when we allow ourselves to experience the agitation in whatever way it may be coming up. And like for me, it's not in my mind, it's my body being stirred up by what's been going on with the weather. It's to allow us to really step into our authentic expression and our true selves, which means that we're allowing ourselves to feel everything. People I know this year, at the end of the year, are feeling unstable. They're feeling agitated. They're feeling upset. How are you feeling? I feel good, but the body is being sensitive. It's heightened at the moment. You may be having this calling also, and this can come at the end of the year, beginning of the new year, where we want to teach in some capacity. And that may not mean like I'm going to become a school teacher, but teaching what we know. It's like we're being given new responsibilities. And I always find when I've had a little bit of a reprieve from seeing clients, I'm better at my work because I've been nourishing myself, but it gives spirit time to align us with our new responsibilities. So these are coming in for all of us. You listening to this are being given a new responsibility, and it's going to require you to share it with someone. It's going to require you to be in a position of leadership. And if any obstacles are arising, even through feelings, or like for me, my congestion, it's initiation, it's tests of determination, it's tests of courage to keep persevering. And remember, this time of the year, and all times of the year, when you give with the intention of gratitude to that person. I think at Christmas time, people can feel like, we're giving because we have to. Change the intention. Give because you want to. Give because you are open to receiving and connecting to whoever or whatever you're giving to. I know my friends have been having a wonderful time giving to their kids, and they're giving the kids with such reverence and respect for their children, but also such a love for connecting with these beings that have chosen them here in this earth journey. Even if we didn't expect to be where we are at this stage of our life, and I can say that in certain parts of my life, I never expected to be here. I thought I'd be somewhere else doing other things. But it's that acceptance of that, and knowing that, Spirit has been reassuring me, and reassuring me means reassuring all of you, that the next phase is even better than what we anticipated. And when I was tuning in over the last week into next month's energy, it's a really exciting month. Like, I'm really looking forward to breaking it down with you week by week. So where are you at in your life right now? Were you expecting to be in this part? Are you disappointed? Is there some area that you're wanting to take through into the new year? Because the first week of January is always such an important time to establish what we're wanting. This is not about goals. I don't have any goals for 2025. It's just, who am I? What am I trying to do in regards of my purpose? So a question I'm asking you: who are you? What are you trying to achieve and do with your purpose? That is not going to be a goal. It's just being more of your authentic expression. So over the last week, I did take the time to let my body heal, to integrate with all that has transpired. And we've got the new year coming. So I asked you all, what was something refreshing and relaxing that you did? And how did you give yourself the space to heal and recharge? What did that look like for you? For me, it looked like, for quite a few of the days, getting up when I felt like getting up, preparing food, which I love to do, walks on the beach, and just being in a state of relaxation so that I can give more this year to all of you. As we move through the week, I put up a post about intimacy, and this was coming in really strongly that day where I had to say something about it. The body is really craving connection right now. And remember, we've come into a body to experience connection. And the theme that came up on the day, which relates to the physical and spiritual reset, which was the Monday mantra for last week, it's like, how are we cultivating intimacy in our lives? And are we asking for it? And when we ask for it, are we creating the space for it, like the space to receive it? Because for the soul to truly feel held, the body has to be open as well. Because a lot of people will say to me, oh, I want more intimacy in my relationship or whatever. But how are you actually open to receiving it? Are you giving your body the receptivity to bring it into your life? Simple gestures like hugs, hand holding, gentle touch on the back. The motion of someone rubbing your back from a place of friendship or a child, it's so reassuring. And maybe you need to do that for somebody. Maybe you're needing to ask someone to do that to you. And I know that I've been very much more vocal about my physical need for touch over the last week and the last few weeks, to be honest. As many gather with friends and family, intimacy will play a crucial role in this reset. Speaking about things that are vulnerable to you, being open to laughter. Like I caught up with a friend I haven't spoken to in many months, and I found myself setting up the conversation with something vulnerable with me in my life, because what that did was open the door for her to be also vulnerable with me about what's going on. And that is what's happening at the moment. This vulnerability is a part of the intimacy. Some are carrying past traumas related to intimacy, while others may find themselves needing this connection now more than ever, so that we can feel grounded in who we are, like feeling the physical touch, feeling the connection in the body, looking after our body. It's all being intimate with ourselves also. So it's not just intimacy in the physical or in, the other nature when it comes to relationships, but it's the grounding in our body to feel intimate and connected with another. This is why spiritual and physical reset is rediscovered when we are connecting. So conversely, some might be instinctively keeping their guards up to protect themselves, and I'm not saying that's wrong. Just observe. Is that enabling you to connect? Is that enabling you to reset? Regardless of what is happening to you, consider allowing yourself to be held in spaces where you feel safe. Who do you feel safe with? What makes you feel safe? We're being asked to articulate these things now, even if it means being held by the divine. And I found it really interesting that I said that, because the next day, when I pulled the collective card for the group, the forgiveness card came up. And I believe I spoke about that last week in last week's Monday mantra without even knowing that the forgiveness energy was going to be coming in. But when I tuned into that message for the card, it was forgiveness of ourselves. Like at the end of the year, we've all spoken to ourselves negatively. We've put ourselves down. We've put other people down. We've judged other people. We've, held on to pain that people have inflicted on us. And it was a time of forgiving, and Christmas is about forgiving, forgiving our bodies where we've felt discomfort. This is the sensitivity that I've been talking about, and revealing what needs healing. Let us forgive ourselves for sabotaging our true desires. Holding on to forgiveness prevents us from giving all of ourselves. Holding on to unforgiveness, I'm going to repeat that again. Holding on to unforgiveness prevents ourselves from giving all of ourselves. And when I picked that card, it served as a reminder that in order to reset our lives, we must forgive and set ourselves free. And I loved this, what Jesus taught about forgiveness. Jesus taught that we should forgive others not just 7 times, but 77 times. And I just thought, it's so interesting because the forgiveness card that I created with my designer is the number 7. And it's like that, isn't it? Because this is when we sabotage ourselves. We keep thinking about how we've been hurt. That person did that to me. And I had that situation come up last week where I was triggered to talk about something that someone had done. But I realized it was my opportunity to put it to bed, because we have to keep forgiving up to 77 times. But it's more about forgiveness as a continuous process and letting ourselves hold on to who we really are and let go of the forgiveness. So that number 7 symbolizes completeness, the Jesus teaching that, not forgiving just 7 times, but 77 times is about limitless forgiveness. There is no limit to forgiveness. And as humans, we need to keep doing it all of the time to set ourselves free, because it's really time to rest. We're tired. We're tired of holding on to everything. We want to reset. We're hitting the reset button like we do on our laptops and our phones and whatever we need to when it gets stuck. Christmas Day, as I mentioned to you, was a beautiful day for me. I had a lovely time with family, and there was abundant food. And I loved when I walked in, my eye went straight to the dragonfly, because I hadn't been to this home in years. And when I walked in and saw the dragonfly, I was like, I'm meant to be here. It's an acknowledgement of everything that we've been discussing in the Monday mantras over the last few weeks about the DNA upgrades, the compound perspective, the mosaic, seeing pieces that are being pulled out of the puzzle for us to really identify and hone in on. And that all of this has been a part of my personal reset that was aligning with last week's energy, and obviously this week's too, because we reset at the beginning of the year as well. But Christmas evening, really, obviously with the Christ consciousness energy, my meditation was deep. It was so intense, and it took a really intriguing turn, because as I entered my meditation, I saw a Pegasus, a white-winged horse descending from the heavens with a message of enlightenment for me. So when I receive these messages, I know they're not just for me, they're for all of us, but I'm seeing it firsthand. And when this white-winged horse came in, it's part of the great square of Pegasus, symbolizing turning our dreams into a reality, the connection between heaven and earth. The Pegasus came in to remind us that we're being grounded within ourselves while also receiving from the higher realms. There's a lot of spiritual growth, initiations happening for all of us. And that winged horse, it symbolizes the soul's journey. It represents Christ's spiritual power to uplift and inspire believers to strive for the higher spiritual heights, which we're all wanting. But it's about being grounded, because the Pegasus can walk the earth. The Pegasus can do everything a normal horse can do, but it has wings to ascend, and so do we. So as we look ahead, it's essential to remain open to how this energy of the Pegasus is going to manifest in our next stage of elevation, because that is what's coming in this month of January. Now, as we see the year come to an end, because we're transitioning from the end of December into the new year midweek, it's like these old cycles are closing. The groundedness is coming in, but with their conclusion, meaning the cycles concluding, whether you're aware of what these cycles are or not, the higher realms are opening up, allowing us to ground ourselves in the understanding of why we have been created in the human form. Why were you created? How are you serving? How are you teaching? And we're receiving these glimpses through all of these signs, the Krishna energy, the peacock energy, the six pointed star, the anchor, all of the things that we've been talking about over these last weeks and months. It's all the higher realms here to assist us. And I loved Revelation 19:11, where it said, I saw heaven standing open, and there before me was a white horse, whose rider is called Faithful and True. With the justice he judges and wages war. And that verse describes Christ as a victorious warrior, which we are too, emphasizing the righteousness and the authority and judgment. And that was really interesting because I brought up justice last week. I brought up needing to come back into balance, that there's justice being served for all the wrongdoing. And this is why forgiveness came in, because we're having to do that on our level, because then collectively it's happening everywhere else around us. And so the imagery of the Pegasus, the white horse, symbolizes triumph, symbolizes purity, and faithful and true was the horse's name. It's like the character of our divine nature is being faithful and true. And it's very interesting that I brought up justice last week in the Monday mantra, because that was on a much bigger scale. It was on a collective scale of like, we're all looking for that justice in our lives, staying faithful and true to who we are, which comes back to our authentic expression. The extended meaning of the Monday mantra, taking the time and space to reset. We all need to make the time. We need to take the time to enable us to gain fresh perspectives on ourselves and others. We see people in a new light when we have reset. I look forward to seeing my clients even more than I do when I've stopped for a while. And in this state of reset, the energy of the Pegasus, and I want you to see the Pegasus, the white-winged horse, I can feel it as I'm talking to you about it, come in to elevate us, to empower us to embrace our true nature and courage, unburdened by pressure and fully recharged. I know, I am born into a Hindu family and Malaysian by birth. There's Chinese New Year, there's Hindu New Year. This is the new year of the Gregorian calendar, and it doesn't matter because it's still the beginning of the year in this belief, and we're all part of everyone's beliefs here. And so we're embracing this reset. This opportunity now is not just resetting because we're needing to charge ourselves up. It's rediscovering the heights that we can achieve. And this is what the Pegasus has come in for, faithful and true. Now, remember, if you're listening to this on YouTube, on Spotify, on the Beacon app, don't forget to like, tag, subscribe, do all the things that help me to be able to grow this platform for you. I'm so grateful for all the new app members. Remember, it is only $60 a year, and we have to keep the link external so that we can keep it at that price for you, which is a very, very nominal fee. And the person to email if you're needing any help at all, whether it's tech help, joining the app, services. Remember, I am only one person. I'm doing my very, very best to be here for you in all the ways that I can. But Kieran is the person to email at soul33, all letters, all words, soul33@gmail.com. And write on the subject exactly what you're wanting, because it helps her to be able to identify who she needs to reply to first. And just be patient with wait times, because we do get a lot of emails. We had a beautiful podcast go out with Emilio also, so Just Tap In. So if you go to his page, Just Tap In on YouTube, you'll see a new podcast there that we recorded very recently. Okay, are you ready for this week's Monday mantra? It's new year, new soul, new you, and all of your homework meditations that have been set for this week are all to reset, because your Monday mantra, my mind shapes my reality. I live without fear, guided by my free will. My mind shapes my reality. I live without fear, guided by my free will. We are officially entering the year of the 9, and that 9 symbolizes what we've been doing all throughout December: completion, ending the cycles. It's really interesting. The number 9 is very significant because there's 9 forms of Durga. there's 9 fruits of the Holy Spirit. It also represents Mars. Mars, raw, primal, drive, courage, passion. This number 9 is going to enable us to take action. And it's not surprising that we're going to feel this determination for change and completion during this first week of the year, going into the number 1 month, but also the year of the 9. So as we move forward this week into uncharted emotions, we've got the new moon, which is just on New Year's Eve, which is a wonderful time for us to do all of our meditation exercises where possible, because it's going to be prompting healing in our relationships with ourselves, but it's also asking us to stay strong in our purpose. So even if you don't know what your purpose is, we are receiving guidance to keep us on the path. And so this Mars energy, when we're out of balance, it can manifest as control, as anger, addiction, abusiveness. And I feel like this is going to be the shadow side of stuff that's going to come up in January, because I was told this actually by Spirit a couple of months ago, that we're going to be looking at the masculine and feminine energies a lot again this month, but it's going to be, are you being controlled? Are you in a relationship which there's too much attachment? Have you got addiction issues that are coming up? So just know in this first week, there may be some heightened emotions, but you are using your free will. You are using your free will to shape in your mind what you are doing without fear. So while Mars's energy can bring up the opposite sides of raw primal, this is why we're talking about like connection and intimacy. It could be connection and intimacy in the physical sense also with a relationship, because that energy brings up your area of creation. It enables you to create. As we move forward into these feelings that are going to be coming up for us this week, we want to harness it. We want to harness it with our free will. What can we cultivate in terms of leadership? What can we cultivate in terms of ambition, of what we desire? We are creating our reality with the foundation of this week. It's a chance for us to become both the leader and the teacher this week. So if you find yourself triggered by anger, take a moment to evaluate the underlying message in that anger. And if you're not having anger, maybe you're going to be observing it. You're going to be seeing it other people. Maybe your body's going to be agitated, as mine is. Who knows? Maybe the emotion's going to come up with me later this week. Acknowledge those feelings as they are blessings of love and acceptance, accepting yourself with love, accepting whoever with love. Now, I'm not talking about anger, people being abusive to you. That's a whole different thing. I'm talking about observing within ourselves and observing what's going on in a balanced way, because we're all allowed to be angry sometimes, because we can use that to see where we're creating what we don't want in our lives anymore. Spirit invites us to cleanse ourselves, not only physically, but with water. Emotional healing is coming up a lot this week, and emotions can be likened with water. And I had the image when I was writing this out of Moses parting the sea, creating a path forward. But before we can take that step, we must truly know ourselves, truly know all of the facets that are making up the whole. And this week is a time of self-realization, realizing more about ourselves, recognizing the healing that already has taken place, what has occurred, allowing yourself to renew and repair still, but making sure you're carving out some time for yourself, because there's a bit of hermit energy that comes up this week as well, which is going to need you to familiarize yourself with this new version of you, this new you that's wanting to emerge through those emotions. There's a lot of initiations this week, a lot of opportunity to start standing strong in what our free will is determining for us. Because remember, yes, spiritually, lots of things are predestined, but it's how our free will responds to things. It's how our free will is creating everything. This week brings love. It brings hope. It brings acceptance, but it's also going to bring up some uncomfortable feelings, because the new year can do that, because unexpected things happen and life is going to life. It's how we are using our free will without fear to create our reality. There's a lot of spiritual growth this week. It's going to come in to look and examine at our attachments to things, our attachments to outcomes, attachments to the way we thought things were going to be. But we have a lot of free will to focus on creating what we want by clearing out in order, and clearing out emotions, clearing out physical things. Like I've been clearing out at home little things around the house so that I'm making more space, but I'm doing that in a physical way, but then of course I can feel it physically happening as well. So we're clearing out in order to accept and facilitate our spiritual growth. Now, if you're listening to this on Monday or Sunday, depending on where you are, listen again on New Year's Eve, because the new moon is giving us an opportunity to set these strong foundations, to use our mental capacity to be able to create our reality. And I feel like, we're so lucky to have a new moon on New Year's Eve, because it's going to set the tone for the year ahead. It's going to enable us to foster the positive change and embrace the new possibilities. So a lot of initiations, a lot of uncomfortable feelings potentially coming up, but it's all to serve the year of the 9, which all of it is the completion of cycles. All of it is to be able to prepare for the number 1 year, which will be 2026. And it all starts now. I'm really looking forward to this year. I've got no expectations, but going in, looking forward to the initiations, being the voice of being more of who I am, which is what we're asking you to do as well, we as in me and the spirit guides. So I want you to take a moment now to just close your eyes and come, if you're not driving, and come into that space of feeling the energy of the Pegasus. Feeling anchored into who you are, knowing that the Pegasus is going to keep you grounded, but it's faithful and it's true. That is who you are. And remember, your mind is powerful. Your mind is going to be shaping your reality. We want to release all the fears that you've got in your system before the new year so that you can be guided by your free will. You have the free will to choose how you want to set yourself up, how you want to communicate, how you want to connect, how you want to bring an intimacy into your life. And knowing that there is nothing stopping you at all. Your Monday mantra is, my mind shapes my reality. I live without fear, guided by my free will. My mind shapes my reality. I live without fear, guided by my free will. Because remember, we're going to be guided spiritually. Now it's your free will that is deciding at the beginning of the year what you are doing. What is the tone that you are setting? I'm here for you. Remember, I'm only one person. If you're needing to go on a wait list, get a mini reading, a personalized meditation, I'm still doing all of those things throughout my holiday time. Email Kieran at soul33@gmail.com. And thank you so much for all your comments. Merry Christmas again. Happy New Year. I'm looking forward to being here and creating new meditations and energy shifts for you on the app as it grows. And all of your subscriptions go into making the app better. And IT and I have some plans for all of that this year, for new features and speeding things up and doing all the things that come with time. Sending you so much love and setting a beautiful energy of the Pegasus taking us to elevated heights.